Soldofsky. Eric and I realized that we kind of remember his last name the same way. Sold off the sky. Really? 2 F's?
All right, so I'm gonna impersonate something. Ventriloquize is a word I use in this paper that I've been writing for the last like 200 days. This is called Melville, inspired by the San Jose Downtown Public Library. Imagine some of the people who hang out on the second floor. This is their story. This may not be the Melville that you've read, or it may be. He was buried in a pauper's grave. Melville, you cannot loiter long in this downtown library branch without being asked what you're looking for. I said I wanted to read the lives of the squids. The librarian mentioned that there were 3 volumes. She looked me over like I was an olive in a root beer glass. I'd rather do origami than read about the construction of innocence in the 19th century. I'm not a formalist, but I can read inscriptions on a crypt as well as the next guy. I'm tired of living on salt pork and whale fat, bored with looking into the dead mouths of coelacanths. She looked at me as if I had taken something unspeakable out of my pocket. She said she could look up mollusks on her computer. Cephalopods, I corrected. That's when she explained that there was a prejudice in this district, dependent as it was on the bovine economy. Excuse me, I said. I said the truth was I had recently fractured my knee, which caused me to speak on several topics at once. What was I saying just now? She looked so sweet then, so terribly thin. I barely stifled an impulse I suddenly had to touch her ear. I'm sorry, I said, but I had lost my thought. As she tilted forward, I could see her forehead's waxy gleam, her pasty white neck, the light slipping down the modest slope of a breast. Oh, I was lost. By the time I came to my senses, I realized I was standing inside a whirlpool. There was no way I could go back to what I had been doing, parsing sentences, doing piecework. I had to shape up. I'd been drowning in pages of water, living in a group home. Surely I knew that the truth slanted. What sad harpoon had I lashed myself to? On what bone had I been gnawing? I had consented to the doctrine of filth only because what else could one do? How could I have not seen the taxicabs idling, their signs turned off? It was time to go by then. The air was being shut off a little at a time. There was a lance in my side. She was saying something. She was telling me a fable about obedience that I didn't already know. That's from In the Buddha Factory. Freedom State University Press is going to put it on sale for $9, so if you want to get an extra copy for Christmas. Do you guys know the show called The Killing? There's a wonderful character named Detective Holder, who has a very odd way of speaking. And I thought maybe I would use him to explain recent U.S. foreign policy. Do you remember Donald Rumsfeld? Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't think it would be cool to write a poem in the voice of Donald Rumsfeld. But what I thought I would do in this poem, it's called The Known Unknown. It's one of the little catchphrases that Rumsfeld came up with. He talked about the known unknown, and he talked about the unknown unknown. I wrote poems for both. But I thought I would have Holder explain it. So this is sort of Holder's voice, if he were a rapper, I think. Late Light, it's called The Known Unknown. It's going to be in my new collection. It's the new collection. It's going to be called Charts for the End of Days. Late light, rain in June. Kind of weird. I shelter beneath a catalpa tree. Its leaves like elephant ears. It's my corpse and beans. The sky's glowing charcoal shows through the filigree. After Fukushima, you gotta ask, how radioactive is this shit? Don't want no Japanese fallout messing with me. If we adopt a common core, every kid in the country will have to read the same thing. How sick is that? How do you spell communism? The dancer from the dance stole. What the difference? Just check what's in the water. Strontium is measured in curies. It's in the topsoil, dog. They be finding it in my KFC. That bird be mocking me, can't shut it up. Leave me to my worrying. Got an appointment to talk to the doc. He wants to hook me up to the heart machine. Can't talk to him about what I know. He'll say it gots to come out. Come on, dude. I'm a closer. Going around with this shit in my head, it makes me tired to death. Those are risky poems. I'll read you one that's kind of, I'll finish with two, if that's okay. This is the first poem I'm going to put in Charts for the End of Days, which is my obsession with apocalypse. If Donald Trump was elected, then we know it's coming. Yeah. Can you spell Antichrist? Yes, of course. I know Jessica can. This is called Flood. So you got to start, at the beginning. Flood. It's that flood. It's not the pants that don't come on. There are children in the trees. We see them from our boat as the waters rise. They signal us to try to reach them, but walking on water can be a problem. And even if there was room, to what shore would we bring them? Anyway, we are poorly provisioned. We won't last 2 weeks. So what's the point? The fins of TV antennas scrape the hull. We leave a wake of hieroglyphics and iridescence spreading outward. Codices tangled in the weeds. Incomplete sentences. Alibis for our species. Oreos of verbena in the air. A bright garment floats on the tea-colored surface. Stems of light sinking through the silt. An opaque layer of brownish yellow a few inches down, through which we can almost make out the topography. The smell of humidity hanging over everything. Weeks of rain, then the sun beats down. From somewhere, the whine of cicadas. A scum of algae ripples between rows of corn stalks, and a heron launches itself from atop a drowned barn, circling us before it dives into the syrupy current, then emerges from its immersion, bowing its neck, a fish's slippery metallic comma dangling from its mouth. The bird is not intended as a symbol. Eli just left because he had to go home to San Francisco, but he lives in the summer in his family house in Lake Tahoe. This is Lake Tahoe poem. It's about what's happening because of climate change and what's happening to the bears. They don't get enough food. It's too warm sometimes for them to hibernate. They're invading all the subdivisions on the north shore of the lake. People are putting up all these elaborate defenses. I rented a cabin a couple of years ago, and there was a a note on the garbage thing that gets locked up that said, the bear comes by twice a night, keep it locked.
Don't feed them.
Yeah. So I figured I'd better write about that. So I like poem. I like to give titles to poems that are a little bit inexplicably like homonyms. So bear and bear. Bear. Thanks everybody for being so great in class. This has been a really great semester for everyone. I think it's been productive. I'm getting I hope a publication out of it. I'm going to steal all your good ideas. I'm speaking at 5 o'clock on Saturday at the American Lit Conference, the National Conference of the American Literature Association in San Francisco's Hyatt Regency Hotel. If you want to pay $35, you can come and spend the day listening to academics talk. I'll try to be unacademic, but I got to explicate just like everybody else. You can do this explication in your head. There's no final exam. Bear. The bear comes by every night to forage for garbage. Drought has made them smarter. This year, the gooseberries did not ripen, so these bears are starved except for attention. They break into cabins, crashing through doors like drunken teenagers to loot the refrigerator, even when they're occupied, say, by bridesmaids, who come downstairs half hungover, startled out of their faces, to find them at the kitchen counter slurping up boysenberry crumble and beer, pulling down the spice rack, and with their butts turning on the burners. The smell of gas gusting through the broken window glass brings the neighbors who come running, unsure whether to chase or be chased by them in their baggy, honey-colored coats. They're so thirsty they would tear open rocks like coconuts to drink whatever's in there, because every rill in the high country has become a dribble of dust, even before the solstice. The bear comes by every night, suffering the need to live among us. We, who often become frightened and forget how to use punctuation. The bear comes by every night, knowing what the point is. You see them waiting at dumpsters behind Save Mart, watching the clerks lock up. You hear them huffing in the shadows by McDonald's, taking turns shooting dice, practicing their guttural English. There's never been more of them at the lakeside. Fires have burned them out of their dens. They can't sleep anymore through the winter, too warm. They're hot in that awful stringy fur they long to shed. Chased through strip malls by Forest Service cops, they sidle between buildings, sneaking onto beaches where they stand to greet us, holding up their big snarly hands. The bear comes by every night. You suspect they've learned to outsmart us. We, who think how cool it is to live so lavishly, vacationing in our exclusive human skin. Thanks, everybody.